All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are talking about a massive leap forward in artificial intelligence. We're talking about AI developing new senses and what that's going to mean for all of us.
Welcome, everyone, to Computer Science Made Easy.
We are so glad you're here. This is all part of our AI Explainers series, where we try to break down the really complex stuff in AI and make it, well, easy to understand. We've got a ton more topics lined up, so we really hope you'll stick around for the journey.
So to get us started, just take a look at this. For the longest time, AI was kind of like a genius who could only read. Incredibly powerful with text, but totally blind and deaf to the rest of the world.
Exactly. But that is changing, and it's changing fast. The multimodal AI we're getting into today, it's a completely different animal. It can see, it can hear, it can read, all at the same time. This isn't just a small step. It's a fundamental shift from just processing words to actually perceiving the world in a much, much richer way.
Okay, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to kick things off by defining what we even mean by AI's new senses. Then we'll unpack it with a really cool symphony analogy. After that, we'll look at how it's already changing our world, clear up a huge misconception, get into the really important risks, and then we'll turn it over to you with a final thought. All right, let's jump straight into our first section, AI's new senses. This is really all about getting to the heart of what it means for an AI to juggle all these different kinds of information at once. So the official definition is right there on the slide. Multimodal AI is about processing text, images, audio, you name it, all together to form one single, unified understanding. Okay, that's the textbook definition, I get it. But can you make it a bit more human? How does that actually work in a way we can all relate to? Absolutely. And this quote from our research really just nails it. Think about your favorite trip. You don't just remember the words someone said, right? You remember the incredible view, the sound of the ocean, the way the sun felt. Your brain just fuses all of that into one single rich memory. Multimodal AI is basically trying to do that exact same thing, but with data.
And what's so fascinating is how it actually pulls this off. So the AI takes in multiple things, right? Let's say a picture and a caption. Then you've got these specialized models, one for vision, one for language, that handle their own piece of the puzzle. But the real magic, the secret sauce, is step 3, data fusion. This is where it all comes together in a kind of shared mental space, connecting what it sees in the photo with what it reads in the text to give back a single, smart, contextual answer.
I love that idea, a shared mental space. It's a great way to put it. And that leads us perfectly into our next section, the symphony of data. To really get this idea of fusion, we're going to use an analogy that I think makes it all clip. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite ways to picture it. The AI is the symphony conductor. So you've got the violins, that's your text data. The trumpets are your images, and the drums, that's the audio. The conductor's whole job is to bring all those different sounds together into one amazing performance. That's exactly what multimodal AI is doing. That is a great analogy. But what happens if one of the instruments is out of tune? What if the image data is biased or the audio file is just bad? That is such a critical question, and it really gets at why the quality of the data is everything. One bad input can throw the whole performance off. We are definitely going to talk about those risks, but first, let's look at how this symphony is already transforming our world with some mind-blowing applications. And as you can see from this chart, the impact is, well, it's everywhere. This isn't just a niche tool for techies. It's helping young professionals, senior executives, teachers, older adults, even policymakers. But Alex, let's make this real. Can you give us a concrete example? How would this help someone like an office administrator, just in their daily job? Great question. So one of the wildest applications is something called a digital twin. The easiest way to think of it is as a virtual mirror. Imagine you create a live digital copy of your entire office building. You feed the AI everything, live camera feeds, temperature sensor data, maintenance reports. That administrator could then simulate an emergency evacuation route on the virtual twin, perfecting it before anyone even has to leave their desk.
Wow. So a city planner could do the same thing for a whole city block, right? Test out a new traffic pattern and see how it affects everything from noise to air pollution, all without having to dig up a single street. That is a total game changer.
Exactly. And the key to making all of that work is something called a context window. Just think of it like your desk space. If your desk is tiny, you can only look at one piece of paper at a time. But if you have a huge desk, a large context window, the AI can spread out all the information, the video feeds, the text reports, the sensor data, and see the whole picture at once to make a much smarter call.
That makes total sense, and the applications are just exploding. In healthcare, you're merging X-rays with a doctor's handwritten notes and genetic data for a way better diagnosis. In self-driving cars, you're fusing what the camera sees with what the radar detects for safer driving. And this one is incredible. For accessibility, it can be a sensory translator, literally describing a room to a person who is visually impaired.
That accessibility use case is it's truly life-changing. But all of these amazing abilities bring us to our next section, and this one is super important, seeing versus calculating. Because there is a huge misunderstanding about how these AIs actually get the world.
Right. I think a lot of us, we see an AI describe a photo perfectly, and our first thought is that it sees it just like we do, that it has some kind of real understanding or consciousness. And that's the core misconception we have to correct. The AI doesn't see or feel a thing. It's processing pixels and words as pure math. It is incredibly good at finding statistical patterns in that math to make a prediction, like the patterns in these pixels match the patterns I've seen in millions of cat photos. But it has zero human intuition. It's pure calculation, not cognition. And just to help build on that, here are a few other terms you'll probably hear. You know about LLMs. They just do text. Multimodal AI expands on that. Generative AI is what creates new stuff. We've talked about that fusion mechanism. And a hallucination, that's just a fancy word for when the AI gets something wrong, which can happen more easily when you're mixing all these data types.
Yeah, knowing those terms is so important, especially now as we move into our next section, risks and responsibilities. Because with all this incredible power, we're also discovering new blind spots and some really serious ethical questions that we all need to start thinking about.
Exactly. This slide lays out 3 really big ones to watch for. First, cross-modal bias. So an AI might seem totally fair when it reads a resume, but show it a video interview and suddenly it's biased against an accent. Second is privacy fusion. And third is data sovereignty. Basically, who really owns your data after you upload it.
Wait, can you unpack privacy fusion a bit more? How could an AI figure out something I never explicitly told it?
Of course. So imagine you post a photo from a hospital lobby. Later that day, you send a private voice message to a friend complaining about a bad headache. Each piece of data on its own is pretty harmless, but a multimodal AI can fuse them. It connects the location from the photo's GPS tag with the symptom from your voice note, and it could infer a potential medical issue you never ever intended to share. It's all about connecting the dots.
And it's these kinds of risks that show just how important it is to be thoughtful about how we build and use this tech. Which brings us to our final section, your turn to reflect. We want to pivot now and turn the focus over to you and how this is going to start showing up in your world. We really want you to think about the question on the screen. Seriously, take a second. Where could this technology change your job or just your daily life? And what are the big questions, ethical or just practical, that it brings up for your community, for your family? Thinking about this stuff now is how we prepare for what's coming. We would honestly love to hear what you think about these questions. Drop your ideas in the comments below. Let's really get a conversation started. And hey, if this explainer was helpful, please hit that subscribe button for more from our AI Explainer series here on Computer Science Made Easy.
Thanks so much for watching.
We'll see you in the next one.